So I haven't smoked DMT in a while, and I've just been noticing that ever since that I quit smoking weed, I've been finding it a little bit harder to build up the courage to actually get into it and smoke it. And partly the reason could also be because there's a lot going on in my life right now, and I'm pretty busy, so that could be another factor. But it's definitely, I find it a lot easier to actually take the plunge when I'm not exactly at baseline. I think the concept of taking DMT when I'm completely sober and then blasting off to infinity, it seems like such a far leap for me, and it's harder to build up the actual, I guess, courage for it and all of that. But I I'm assuming that I'm gonna try to do it sometime because I know you guys enjoy the trip reports, and also it's kind of important for my artwork and other things to be able to see the visuals and try to create things from it. Right now, I've still been trying to get better at drawing portraits and getting better at technical abilities. One portrait attempt that I drew from a friend's picture didn't really turn out too great, and it's probably because I didn't use a proper technique, and also I didn't really take a picture that, or I didn't choose a picture that was a good enough representation of all the shadowing and stuff. I chose a colored one, so it didn't give me enough information on where to shade things, so I had to make it up on the fly pretty much. So it didn't turn out as good as other portraits that I've drawn. So I'm actually going to look into real books on how to draw like professional, even old master type portraits, and I think they use like charcoal and things like that. So hopefully it should be a little bit better. I I don't know exactly when I'm going to be trying DMT again. It's probably going to be soon. I think I just have to build up the courage and tell myself, okay, I'm going to do this. I just need to pick a day and maybe prepare myself. There's a lot that's going on right now, so I think that once that's a little bit over, also I'm getting ready for a piano recital too, so that's also putting a lot of more pressure on me. So I kind of wanted to focus on that too, and I spent a lot of time on those portrait stuff too, so it didn't really give me enough time to focus on this. But I think that one step at a time, pretty much for me, and also, I think there's going to be another issue with trying to take even for ACO DMT or mushrooms and things like that, because with 4-ACO DMT and mushrooms and even LSD, they have the potential to cause a bit of a nausea, and I've always used weed to combat the nausea so that I didn't have an upset stomach and risk throwing up. That was one of the main things that helped me do oral DMT with taking the Syrian rue, because it's so gross that it immediately triggers the gag reflex, and if I don't have weed to try to calm that down, then it could be could be harder for me, I guess. Because when I would take the Syrian rue, I would have to hold my nose and chug a whole bunch of orange juice just to wash it down so that the flavor wasn't in my mouth. And then slowly I would take my fingers off my nose so that I can see if it's still lingering in my throat, because if it's lingering too much, then it'll probably trigger the gag reflex and I'll just throw it up. That's happened many times before, so I've sort of built up a system on how to take my Syrian rue properly. I'm probably not going to be doing an oral DMT experience with Syrian rue for a while, so I don't really need to worry about that kind of level of nausea. But definitely with other things, even LSD and 4-ACO DMT, weed is definitely a positive thing to add with it, so that I'm not. And also, I do like the fact that it kind of ups my buzz a little bit. I know with LSD, every time that I smoke weed, it really hits the go button on the trip and really ramps things up. I find that now that I'm not smoking weed, I don't really have the cravings anymore, and I'm pretty much normal again in terms of not having to constantly crave it and sip on tea every time I feel like I'm going to want to smoke on something. But I told myself that I was going to smoke weed probably every 30 days, but I'm not even sure if I'm going to be able to do that, just because now that I'm so used to being sober, I feel like it's going to throw me off when I smoke weed. But I do want to try it every now and then again, just because it's something that I do respect, and I am curious about the effects of no tolerance, and I want to explore the no tolerance experience more instead of just doing it over and over and not really having much of an experience with it or even feeling much from it. So I think that this is going to be this was definitely the right step for me. You know, I'm not spending a huge amount of money anymore on weed, and I can focus on actually buying things that are more productive for my life, and I can save more money now. So it's definitely the right thing to do. And I was assuming that it would be easier for me to get back into smoking weed, that since I've completely cut it out cold turkey. But it seems like it's more of a thing that I'm gonna have to, I guess, will myself into doing it, because I just don't have the instinct to do it anymore. It's already been erased from me, and my appetite's back, and I don't get night sweats and no insomnia. So I really think that this is a good state of consciousness. But like I said, I'm going to use the weed again when I start trying to explore the psychedelics, so that I can report it to you guys, because I really think that it's important that I report my experiences to this channel, just because it's good for other people getting to learn more about it if they don't have access to it yet. And even people that do have access to it, I'm sure that they gain a lot of valuable information just from what I have to say about it and my experiences. So I think it's a really positive thing that we keep sharing it. I just hope that YouTube doesn't get rid of all of the Trip Reports channels, because I just heard of a guy named AVI who got his channel deleted or suspended, and they're not going to give his channel back just because I think it had to do with like darknet instructions, and that was the main culprit of what caused his channel to be deleted. But they're always changing the rules on what's allowed and what isn't allowed. They didn't even give him any warning. They just completely deleted his channel. So it makes it very scary for all of us, I think, to just even talking about psychedelics. I try to make sure that I don't encourage anyone, and I don't link anyone or give any instructions on how to do things. I was hoping that would keep my channel in the clear, and so far it has. I haven't gotten any community guideline strikes or anything, but I am definitely on the lookout. It would be very painful if all of this work was for nothing and then it just got all erased and stuff. I mean, it's not the end of the world, and it's not like I didn't get anything from it, considering it's actually making somewhat of an income. So I think that it's still worth it, even if, God forbid, it would be deleted. It's still worth me trying to keep posting and keep updating, just because it's an actual paycheck now. So, but you know, depending on how much views I'm getting, it might not be a lot. But when I was getting like a lot of views, the paycheck was pretty damn good. So I'm hoping that I can sort of keep that up. But it's hard. It's hard to get YouTube to promote your channel more. Anytime that YouTube does promote my channel, it brings in a lot of views and subscribers, and people really enjoy the content. So it's up to YouTube to want to promote it or not. So I'm just gonna have to, work on doing something that triggers the algorithm so that it starts promoting it more. And yeah, it should be good for there. I'll just keep posting, and if I hit the nail on the head with one thing, that'll be a good thing, I guess. So I'll keep you guys updated on my next experiences and trips and all of that. And also, I'll show you guys some of the art that I've been working on. I'm actually working on a new DMT piece. I've shown you it before, but this is just more progress on it. And I'm trying to get better imagery for this DMT type depiction than I did in the past. I mean, my other ones turned out really well, but I'm always hypercritical on the technical side. Like I always pick out very small details and say, hey, you know what, I could have done that better. As a whole, it looks good, but I always feel like it could be a lot better. So yeah, here it is. And I will see you guys in the next video. So peace.